You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you.
We're living in a very dangerous time right now, and liberalism has lost their cotton-picking mind.
The Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff's dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods.
Nobody ever said anything about resisting Obama. They went at him on legitimate arguments.
I really do believe that much of what you saw coming out of Trump's mouth was a play from Putin's playbook.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to exposing fake news, the resistance, and Barack Obama's shadow government undermining American progress. Be a part of the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your all-American hosts, Del Marsh and Phil Stargell.
And good morning. This is Phil Stargell of the Abolitionist Roundtable of Michigan. And we have a action-packed show for you this morning. And there's a lot of things going down, and there's a lot of things that may be able to explain to you why some of the things that you see going on today come directly from 50 years ago. I want to start off this show with, it's not on the agenda, but I've heard people refer to actions in Detroit 50 years ago in the riot as a rebellion, as a, there's another word that they also use there. It escapes me now, but they make a riot seem as though it was a great idea, a great thing. They discount all of the carnage, all of the destruction, and all of the distortion of the mind that goes into changing what actually happened into something that nobody at the time believed that it would ever become this. Mm-hmm. Today they're talking about the 50th anniversary of the Detroit Rebellion. Mm-hmm. Now, what were they rebelling against? Mm-hmm. See, when I came to Detroit, it was about 10 years after the 10th anniversary. And they had all of these headlines in the paper about what caused this particular incident. Mm-hmm. And I happened to be in a courtroom right around the time of the 50th anniversary, and somebody, some people, there was another incident that was similar to that. Okay. And they were referring to a couple of young ladies that actually were employed by the city of Detroit, and they kept referring to the blind pig. And I had never heard that that particular reference to what I always call as an after-hour joint, a juke joint, or a speakeasy. I've heard all of those terms, but I never heard a reference to blind pig. And then another term that was being thrown around in the newspapers was the reference to a thing called alley apples. You remember that?
To some extent. I don't know what it means, though. Yeah.
Yeah, alley apple. Those are rocks, and this is what caused the accident, the incident that happens down in now they've turned it into the rebellion, but it was a riot. What happened was they busted an after hours joint, which they called the Blind Pig.
Okay.
And when they did the bust, they came in and had people standing outside and putting them into the paddy wagon.
At that time, that's what they called it, the paddy wagon, yeah.
Well, people started to throw rocks. Now, the rocks started to be called alley apples. Mm-hmm. And it was a pretty dangerous situation for the police. But that is what started the riot. And they said that in the newspaper, because I'm reading the newspaper on the 10th anniversary. I remember reading it on a Sunday. And all of this reference was made to what really caused what is being called a rebellion today. Mm-hmm. Now, reason why I'm critical of the statement rebellion is because last night you saw in Minneapolis, the mayor lost control of a meeting. It was a good thing. It was inside, enclosed in the building. It was a smart idea because I kept hearing people saying, "Well, this is our building. We own this, right?" Well, it was a possibility that the mayor and all of the officials could have walked out the door and told the police, lock them up in here. They wanted, but they don't realize how vulnerable a position they were in. But if they had been outside, it could have been a different thing. Yeah. People could have started throwing rocks, bottles, and everything. Now we got a riot, and they would call that a rebellion. Yeah. And so basically, this is what I see as a parallel, because you're going to hear people talking about there being a rebellion, and we're going to commemorate that with the 50th anniversary ceremonies and things like that. That's what's going to happen in Detroit. And what I would like to know is why anybody would want to be commemorating and be proud of a defiant to any power structure like you saw last night in Minneapolis. But it just didn't get out of hand. It was contained inside. And I thought that somebody was, using a little common sense, because they may have anticipated this. And they avoided what could have been a real bad situation.
Well, Phil, what they were trying to, sorry about that, what they were trying to give the impression of, and actually when they used the word, they changed it from riots to rebellions. Yeah. This is part of liberal strategy to rewrite history. Yeah. And they're doing it right in front of our face.
Yeah, and they are doing a good job of it.
And so what when they call it rebellions, what they're trying to reference is that they were rebelling against the power structure. Yeah. I heard a lady, I watched it for a little bit until I heard a lady say they used to, white cops used to ride around 4D in the police car and just pull over and just beat you up for no reason. Yeah. Okay. They might have did a lot of things, but all right, let's not stretch the truth though. And that's where that rebellion come in. Yeah. That now I can, if I'm going to change what happened from a riot to rebellion, well, I might as well modify the story too. Yeah, yeah. And so,
they have modified the story of a big event like the Civil War, yes. the most costly in lives war ever in America. Yes. And man, I mean, they have really been able to change that.
Yeah, and they still hate it. Yeah. And again, these are the people we know who they are, the loyalists, the people on the left, and they hated this country from the beginning. They still hate this country today. And so we're still fighting against these people.
And what we see is that they're using the same tactics on the president currently. Right now, they are using the same tactics. When Maxine Waters talk about impeach 45 or whatever it is that she says, it's in the spirit of rebellion. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you're going to have a rebellion, you should have some people that are upstanding citizens, like Martin Luther King. That was a rebellion.
Phil, let me just say this. Law. They modifying that story now. Yeah. They're modifying his history now. You notice that they call him Dr. King. They don't want the reverend part of it anymore. Right. Second part to that right there, he said, I want you to judge a man by the content of his character, not by his color.
Yeah.
They done flip that around. You judge him by his color, not by his content.
Right.
If his character, we can care less about that. And then if you reference that very eloquent commentary from Martin Luther King. You know, they tell you want to manipulate us with that right there.
Yeah. And also, the purpose of Martin Luther King was to take away the unjust treatment of a whole group of people. And that was being done on a daily basis.
And it was. Let's be honest about it. I want to be honest about it. It was a mistreatment of black Americans. But again, let's keep it in context. These were Democrats.
Yes.
And so sometimes they seem to forget that these were Democrats that were in these positions that did this.
And see, there were some things that he was against. And today, we seem to have forgotten. Like he was a pro-life advocate. Like he was a elderly. He was against elderly abuse. And these things are coming to the forefront. As you look and see what's going on, you will see that all of the things that people say that they agreed with Martin Luther King on, they're straying from that path. The religious freedom that he was involved with.
That's right.
The people that were out there on the front lines.
It was in the church that he spoke, and that he got and spoke words that just brought life to you on the inside. And
the people that were with him on the front lines,
and no hatred at all. Not to go out there and throw rocks. We're gonna do peaceful demonstrations. Right. If we get arrested, this is to affect change. Now, it was on the other side. There were black nationalists that hated Martin Luther King.
Yes, they were.
And they were very outspoken about this guy that was doing peaceful demonstrations. No, we're gonna go out there and demand what we want. And so there was two different strategies going on at that particular time. And like today, there's multiple different strategies going on. See, me and you believe in a peaceful exchange of power. If some things need to be changed, let's deal with it. But then that's not, let's point out, put the blame on the people that actually created this structure right here. And so, for instance, we know that, well, here, I don't want to get too far away from your agenda.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I want you to, go ahead.
The thing is that what we see is that people have revised history.
Yeah.
And they have forgotten that the very thing, the power structure now, is not abusing people. When it's not abuse, when things that are not planned happen necessarily, but there doesn't seem to be any ability to absorb a mistake or an accident or anything like that without somebody charging that somebody is abusing somebody else's rights. We have to find out what happened, and then we can assess whether or not there was something that happened that wasn't a part of what should be happening. This is where I get impatient with the people that you saw last night in Minneapolis, because they're the same people that are going to revise history and say that they were on the correct side of that issue when they more than likely weren't. And it could have been. It's just a matter of being somebody having the foresight to contain a potential problem, and they got out of that thing last night without any damage to the city and any property or anything like that. But there are some things that had been compromised, such as the credibility of the mayor, and whether or not she was, in my estimation, whether or not she was trying to use the firing of the police chief as a scapegoat in order to try to limit the damage that would occur on voting day.
Yeah.
Because she assigned the person to take the lady's, the former chief's job, who happened to have black skin.
Mm-hmm.
So this to me, this is the real problem here, because it's always identity politics. It's always identity because of a person's color, not the content of the character. And we don't know what the content of the character is, because I even saw a guy get up there and said he's the same color, but he's not the same. I mean, it's so, it's all about color. Mm-hmm. And that is tragic, because we can't get past that. So, and beside all of the efforts of people to get past
mm-hmm.
it, and all of the sacrifice, all of the blood that was shed in order to get us to the point where we could evaluate a person on their content of their character. Mm-hmm. And we seem to be turning our back on the concept. But anyway, what I also would like to tell you is that, like we said, Martin Luther King was pro-life.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play a rather long soundbite, and I think that you probably would agree that this is worthy of if I can get Derek's attention here. But if we could agree on one thing, the health care bill was sidelined because of the pro-life issue, because Barbara was from Murkowski of Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one? Olympia Snow of Maine, and West Virginia. What's her name? Something like that. It's three of them. They were all basically pro-life. I mean, pro-choice. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
I know that the two are. I'm not so sure with the lady from West Virginia,
mm-hmm.
But they were all pro-choice in their preference to anything that comes up. And if those bills aren't some way satisfying to them, they're going to be against any moving forward on this.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get back to the point where in the Republican Party that we stick to the principles that made the success in the Senate and the House of Representatives and ultimately the presidency, because of people that are pro-life? And all of a sudden now we are being determined by a group of people that are not only pro-choice, they are pro-abortion on demand. Pro-abortion on demand. This is where we are now. And they are unashamed, and they are Derek, can you get that soundbite with the number one, please?
Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. Senator Elizabeth Warren is sick of having to come to the Senate floor and explain to Republicans what Planned Parenthood actually does. Well, Senator Warren, we're sick of you too, but watch.
I'm sick of coming down to the Senate floor to explain to Republicans what Planned Parenthood does.
I'm sick of Democrats like Elizabeth Warren pretending Planned Parenthood is anything other than a giant abortion business.
I am sick of explaining that it provides millions of women with birth control, cancer screenings, and STI tests every year.
Actually, Senator Warren, Planned Parenthood performs less than 2% of cancer screenings for women in our country, less than 2% of all breast exams, less than 1% of all pap smears, 0% of mammograms. Guess where I got those numbers? From Planned Parenthood's own annual report. You can find it on their website. I am sick of liberal politicians like you, Senator Warren, who ignore the fact that Planned Parenthood commits 34.9% of abortions in our nation. That's 900 baby girls and baby boys aborted every day.
I am sick of pointing out again and again that federal dollars do not fund abortion services at Planned Parenthood or anywhere else.
Planned Parenthood gets $500 million worth of our tax money every year. That's $1.5 million of my money and your money every single day. Senator Warren, I'm sick of liberals pretending the word fungible doesn't exist. Planned Parenthood donated $734,000 to John Ossoff's campaign. Where do you think they got that money? They donated millions to Hillary Clinton. They report $127 million in profit every year. They abort 323,999 babies every year. 94% of pregnant women who enter Planned Parenthood suffer an abortion. Planned Parenthood does not need our tax money to free up their other money to support their abortion agenda.
Speaker Ryan called this mean bill pro-life. But this is just the biggest political play of all. Calling something pro-life.
Well, I think that you get the message that we seem to have been taken over in the pro-choice, pro-life issue by the radical element of the Democrat Party. And we see the same thing going with a lot of other things, and the actual agenda of the president has been waylaid and taken over by the radicals in the Democrat Party because of, in my estimation, the attempt to take the coup, run a coup in this country. And in order to be as successful as the Democrats have been, they have to have help from the Republican Party. And we as voters, we as patriots, we as constitutionalists, we need to stand up and start demanding that the Republican Party realize who put them in office and who they ought to fear instead of fearing the Democrats. They have put the fear of the Democrat Party into the Republican Party. And I think we need to stand up as voters and tell them no more. We've had enough of this. Derek, would you hold that right there? I want to get to this call before the break because we're getting close. Could you put that call on, please?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good morning. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's Joe from Wyandotte.
Yeah.
Another Saturday that I just happened to be up and able to catch your program.
Well, I am glad that you were, Joe.
Yep. Well, if I'm up on a Saturday at this time, I'm definitely going to be tuning in. I'll clear my calendar for it. But I was calling to tell you, you nailed it, Phil, on the Democrat mayor.
Yeah.
The one police chief was already a quota hire. She was part Native American, female, and gay.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, of course, what trumps that? Black, apparently. But you're right.
Wow.
It's our identity politics, and it isn't playing as well for them anymore. They have another bunch of worthless Democrats in the room calling her out for her resignation anyway. So
yeah, you know,
tracking like it used to.
I was very confused. I'm sitting there watching this, and I was confused as to what exactly did they want. Mm-hmm. The people that were, that took over that said this is our house. Well, you got the house. I mean, what is it that you want?
Well, they're never satisfied. That's the whole thing. Democrats are never satisfied. They want her to resign, and then, of course, they still won't be satisfied. They never are, because they don't have a clue what they want. They just know that they want what isn't now.
Yeah. Well, here's also, I heard one guy say that we voted you in, we can vote you out. I say this: if they vote her out, if they had that ability, they would never have voted her in the first place.
Yep.
Because she had the wrong paint job.
The one idiot that was leading the cry, he should run for mayor himself.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, like I said, if it, but listen, Joe, make sure you continue to get up with us, and we're going to go to a break. So if you get a chance, call in next week.
You're listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable with your hosts, Del and Phil. They're exposing the left's underground resistance while leading the charge in the fight for liberty. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is Logically Speaking Uncensored, the United States Will to Survive. On July 6, 2017, in Warsaw, Poland, President Donald Trump, prior to the G20 meeting in Hamburg, Germany, gave a dynamic and magnanimous speech wherein he praised the United States and articulated the triumphant influence of Christianity and God and the greatness of Western civilization. As thousands of Polish people displaying American flags shouted in admiration, "Trump, Trump, Trump," to his courageous words and messaging, Trump personified why millions of Americans voted for him, because the left-wing Democrat swamp queen Hillary Clinton would never have articulated such praises. As Trump's incredible speech received accolades from around the world, which some compared to speeches by President Kennedy and Reagan, the Hate America anti-Trump swamp nation creatures condemned and distorted his speech and called it pandering to white supremacy. Immediately, the shadow government unleashed their media creatures to write fake narratives and ignore the content of truth. In the meantime, an evil swamp scum named Linda Sarsour was publicly calling for a jihad against Trump and pledged allegiance to Allah and told Muslims in America not to assimilate. But the Democrat Party and Trump haters refused to condemn the hatred of their swamp scum. Every patriotic American hearing Linda Sarsour insurrectionist rhetoric should demand and petition for her deportation, because no matter your feelings about Trump, he is the legally elected president, and an attack upon him is an attack upon America. After Trump returned home, the Democrat Party seditionist swamp media and paid provocateurs accelerated a deception campaign of telling Americans that Russia was their greatest enemy. But I vehemently denounced their demonic lie, because the greatest enemy to Americans are the enemies within, like Linda Sarsour, George Soros, MoveOn.org, Black Lives Matter, abortion murderers, illegal immigrants, Muslim fanatics, college and university anarchistic fascists, unconstitutional rampages and riots against the freedom of speech, and traitorous Benedict Arnold Republicans. For 8 years, the nation existed on the edge of disaster. But thanks to the electoral success of Trump, the nation won a reprieve from Democrat Party swamp nation domination. That is why it was uplifting to see thousands of American patriots take to the streets in support of Trump with a Tea Party euphoric passion unseen in years. And their peaceful rallies confirm why I voted against Swamp Queen Hillary, because on his worst day, Trump is better than what the nation would be if she had won. I extrapolated my commentary heading from President Trump's historic speech, because the will to survive is essential. But survival is dependent on the homes of the brave, who are willing to keep America one nation under God by draining the Democrat Party's swamp. I am Milt, logically speaking uncensored, saying, think about it.
And so that was Milt Harris, and his commentaries are always hard-hitting and right to the point. And we thank Milt again for sending those over to us weekly. Now, what I wanted to do is I want to make sure that I have enough time. So I'm gonna, Derek, would you bring that last part of that tape up, and then I'm gonna.
Won't keep women from dying in back alley abortions.
Senator Warren, how many women die in back alley abortions? Senator Warren, how many women suffer immediate medical consequences after they have abortions? Why don't you know that number? I am sick of liberal politicians pretending legal abortion is safe. 10% of women suffer immediate medical complications after they undergo an abortion. A fifth of those complications are life-threatening. I'm sick of people like you, Senator Warren, pretending to stand up for women's health and ignoring the women who every day are injured by abortion.
Help women pay for the cancer screenings that could save their lives. The pro-life label is the Republicans playing politics with women's lives.
Now, there's no way Senator Warren would know this, given the fact that she's exempt from Obamacare and gets a cushy congressional health care package. But Planned Parenthood charges for their products. They're not free. I'm sick of liberal politicians pretending Planned Parenthood is cost-effective and accessible while ignoring the federally licensed community health clinics all over our country that outnumber Planned Parenthood clinics 20-1, that take care of women and actually do provide certain health services for free or for a very low charge. I am sick of radical progressive feminists like Elizabeth Warren who pretend to champion women but ignore the fact that Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, called black people human weeds. I'm sick of liberals ignoring the fact that 79% of Planned Parenthood abortion clinics are in black, Hispanic, and minority neighborhoods targeting minority women. I'm sick of liberals ignoring the law-breaking behavior at Planned Parenthood, abortionists who alter the abortion procedure to harvest baby body parts without crushing them, laughing at baby eyeballs falling into their laps, crushing baby skulls and then describing the bones as sharp, selling aborted baby body parts for profit. I'm sick of liberals on the Senate floor like you, Senator Warren, getting your facts wrong, accusing Republicans of being anti-woman while you subsidize and support an abortion business built on exploiting women in crisis.
Okay, so that is, I wanted that out from a woman because this identity politics has gone too far, and now only thing we can get to in an issue is whether or not somebody is a female, a black person, or this or that, before we can get any kind of truth to any kind of any kind of a solution to the problem. The thing about it is, Elizabeth Warren has a health care policy that, I mean, it's the best. And I say that every person in Congress ought to have the same policy that they make us live under. Now, she gets her policy a little bit cheaper, but here's the key. The policy that they have in Congress, and I'm going to go over a few points of that in a minute, the policy that the Congress people and the Senate people and their employees and their aides and stuff like that are in the free market. The Congress put in Obamacare ways to keep the free market from having any influence over the health policy that they force on you and me. And I am sick of it, and I'm sick of Elizabeth Warren, and I'm sick of the Republican Party allowing people like Elizabeth Warren to have more influence over their decisions than the people that vote for them. And so that's what I'm going to get to the phones because I don't want to get too far behind on this. Let's go to line 2, Derek.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Gary in Hazel Park, and I'd like to make a comment about the revisionist history of the black race in America and how the left changes everything every day that they can. Well, they don't only change what happened in the past 100 years ago. They change what happened in the present. At the same time Trayvon Martin was being buried, they were on Congress floor running around in hoodies, making him a sympathetic character. The same time that Brown was being laid to rest, they were running around with their hands up, don't shoot on House floor, making him a sympathetic character, causing all kinds of riots and destructions across this country. And the President of the United States, Barack Obama, stood there and allowed it to happen. He, on more than one occasion, made references to the DNA of America was racist. And so he is personally responsible for much of the problems that happened in this country due to him and his irresponsibility.
I can't disagree with that, and a lot of people swear by the fact that that since it was obvious that they were playing the identity card, the racial identity card, when they put Barack Obama in, when they gave him the Nobel Prize a week after he was inaugurated.
Did nothing.
And the thing about it is that emphasis that they put on propping Barack Obama up, although he was vacant of any ideological standing, he didn't have any proof that he was pro-Constitution, pro-traditional American values, and his policies exhibited the fact that he was against those things. And we still couldn't get people to look for and see what he was trying to do with his signature bill, the health care bill.
Which was enslave America to the government.
Exactly right.
That's what it does. And, there's another movie coming out. It's called Detroit. And it bends the reality of what happened 50 years ago. And apparently they're trying to make it so that the rioters are sympathetic characters that are responding to police beating up a black guy for being in a hotel with a white girl.
Oh, boy. Well, the only thing I can tell you, Gary, is, we know the truth, and we have to stand up for it. And we can't allow things like that to sway so much of the public opinion. We've got to stand up and take back the narrative and take back the initiative and take back this country. That's the only thing.
Take back the truth. One last thing. You guys going to be out at the airport later?
I'm not going. I'm going to be in the studio.
Tell them you got a whole man. You got the busiest day.
Yeah, I got a busy day today in the studio. So
okay, be well, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, Phil. One of the ways you can show your the rewriting of the history, that you don't want to be a part of that, the revisionist, is by not going to see these movies.
Yes. Oh.
That's the way that you can affect them. My way of affecting them, like I said last night, I watched for a while. I had an intent on, but once I I heard some good points.
Yeah.
And they were believable. But then they started getting into some of these extremes. Now I thought these are people that now they want to exploit this right here. So if they're gonna rewrite it, if they want to modify it, then she might as well go ahead and modify her part too.
Exactly.
And others modifying their part. So I chose not to watch it. And because I think it's going into a movie theater.
Yeah.
Going into a movie theater. Mm-hmm. So I don't choose not to participate.
Yeah, me too. But there are a lot of people.
What my economic dollars.
Yeah. Yes.
And but one of the things that we can do is kind of go back and get some good books on what was going on at that time. Talk to some people that you feel that have a little bit more credibility, and let them tell you their side of it. Mm-hmm. And then the people that watch this movie, we can challenge them with some of their commentary on it.
Okay, Derek, would you put on line 2? See, you
can't pull it. You can't.
Yeah,
okay.
I can pull it up, but I'd rather.
Okay.
I got
good morning.
Good morning,
Mr. Dell and Phil.
What's happening over there?
Great show, as usual.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of people say Detroit wasn't a riot, like the pure sense of the word, too, over the years and things, so I don't know. But I got an email from a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
This Lord.
Uh-huh.
Brian Williams, was he on NBC, I believe, said how Trump laundered money for the Russian mafia.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he did a little, story about it. I'm like, this is outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff they're just making up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unreal.
The thing about it is, I think that we need to stand up and defend the president.
I'm sure he had no legitimate proof of it either. I mean,
well,
it's so stupid.
The whole idea of this special prosecutor is there to get in research, in my estimation, the same thing that Donald Trump Jr. was doing, getting opposition research. Comey is not Comey, but Coffin. What's his name? Mueller.
Yeah.
He's doing opposition research on the president for the next election.
Yes.
That's all this is.
Mm-hmm.
Or opposition research to shortstop this election, to sidetrack this election,
Mm-hmm.
to delay it, to postpone his agenda and continue digging and reaching and going on a witch hunt.
Oh
That's
just
all
to keep this obstruction going on.
Yeah.
That's right.
One of the things I had a problem with, and
not stop.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm convinced they will not stop.
No.
This whole thing until the midterms come, and they want to get as many people as they can.
Well, this is what liberals believe. They can, and the news media believe, should we take him out now or wait, walk this wave into 2018? And so this is what liberals believe, that this is going to get them back in power. This is what they really think.
Well, oh yeah, they'll change the whole makeup of the House and Senate by midterms by using this Russian thing or anything like it.
But I'm gonna tell you, I think they overplan their card. That this is not gonna get them back in power at all. I think that Republicans can still hold their position on this. Now, and again, I can't be apologetic for Mr. Trump, because I do want him to also, we gotta, so I think he need to have a little bit different strategy. He's talking about winning now. So I think he need to focus on some things right now that he can get immediately through, so that he can start getting a positive message through right now. And then get on TV a little bit more and have a positive message about some of the things that he's doing too, and not even answer no questions. I'm not answering no questions. Come on TV, give a positive message about some of the things that you're working on, some things that you did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he need to do his Twitter. I know he got 100 million followers, but we gotta get a little bit more control of this right here.
Well, you know what? I think
gotta get in front of it.
I think the way that the control is wrestled back is that the people have to step up and demand people like Ryan and Mitch McConnell do their job and get his agenda through.
See, I'm sorry, they still have their own agenda, though.
I know,
and we see it.
And
why are they sitting there fumbling with this health care and taxes?
But if the people tell them your job is on the line,
they're not threatened by us. They're not threatened at all by us.
They will be if you do it in the correct manner.
I don't think
the thing is that they don't believe that that the people hold the power, because the people will not show the power. The thing is, if you notice, they keep running these polls and telling people that the people are warming up to Obamacare. Now it's more popular than the Congress or the president. You see, and those are lies.
Absolutely.
So we have to stand up and
those
start
polls
showing
are skewed. We know those polls are skewed. That absolutely. We can see that. And then one of the things he said, well, we can let this Obamacare implode. The president said, and then we can work on it. I mean, so they got a number of different things. But then the Democrats, no matter which way you use it, go ahead. All right.
You got something else you want to add? Okay. He's
no.
Oh, no.
Okay, Gary.
Great.
All right. Thanks a lot for calling this morning.
All right. Now, we are getting down to the last minutes of the show, and I just want to make a quick thing. Gary, do you, I'm sorry, Derek, do you have that soundbite where Trey Gowdy says, would you run that real quick for us?
Let's be honest here, though. He only published these emails because the New York Times got the emails and was going to publish them, and then he smartly got ahead of it. And the only reason that this story has lasted so long is because he wasn't transparent from the beginning. Even Trey Gowdy today said, and I quote, "If you had a contact with Russia, tell the special counsel about it. Don't wait for the New York Times to figure it out." Why not be upfront and transparent?
Thank you, Derek. That right there tells me everything I need to know. If Trey Gowdy says that if you got a problem with the Russians, you ought to tell the special prosecutor, and this was June of last year, President Trump was a dream, not a reality. He wasn't even president when this incident happened. So
or the nominee. You saying he wasn't president?
No, he wasn't president.
Yeah.
This happened in June. So now we got people like Trey Gowdy, who everybody thinks is a very good guy. But you should have heard the full tape when you hear the glowing attributes he assigned to Mueller. And he was the same guy that said Comey was a good guy. We have to be very skeptical and very careful about the things that our representatives tell us that they believe, because they're steering us down the road that the Democrats have our interests in mind, and we know that that's not true. So what we got to do is we've got to hold our people, we got to hold their feet to the fire. We got to tell them, look, if you are not going to do what it is that is in our interest, your interest will not be in Congress next year. That's what we have to make them understand. And I guarantee you all of this nonsense we see going down right now will come to an immediate halt. You never see the Democrats in opposition to each other. You never see the Democrats talking, oh yeah, President Bush, he's a pretty good guy. He's a straight shooter. You know, we can trust what he says. But they say that about Mueller. They said it about Comey. And we know that Scooter Libby did hard time in jail, didn't he?
That's right. That's right.
And who was the FBI director?
Oh, at that time?
Yeah.
Well,
Mueller.
Yeah.
So we know that there is something fishy going on, and we have got to root it out, and we got to clean house in the Republican Party before we are ever going to get the government that we want. And certainly, if we want to get anywhere close to the government that we're paying for, we've got to straighten out the Republican Party, because the Democrat Party, you're going to get more of the same and less of any accountability. And that's what the Democrats stand for. So I'm going to tell you about me. I'm telling you like it is. I think that we need to really put our foot down and start looking at what we can do to put the fear of the Constitution into the Republican Party, because that's all we need is a little bit more of what made this country great. I think we can make the country great before we have to try to make it great again. We can. That's what we have to do. Trump is there willing to help us make the country great. We have to make the country great by making the Republican Party great, because they have done some great things over the years in the Republican Party. And we need to get back to that.
That's true, but it's not the same Republican Party of 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. These are different people. Go ahead.
You wanna?
That's it.
Yeah. The Abolitionist Roundtable
That's it,
invites the
folks.
WAAM TALK1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil and Del at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.